Hello and welcome to another session of Conversations with the Mayor, when we get a chance to sit down with Mayor Arrigo and have some discussions about a lot of things going on in the city.
Good to see you, Ed.
Once again, it's always a pleasure, and we've got a great day.
Beautiful day.
It's been a challenge leading up to this. I was talking to a couple of the sculptors about the work that they've been doing on the centerpiece, and of course we had the hot oppressive days for the first 2 or 3 days, and then they've had rain over the last couple of days, so they're really happy to see this great weather.
Yeah, we got some great weather, and hopefully we'll have some great weather for the rest of the weekend, and it'll be a great event.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Sand Sculpting Festival, but before we get into this and the other subjects, I did want to mention, and it's in sadness that we mentioned the passing of Mickey Casoli. I think anybody in the city of Revere and everybody in the city near Revere has had an opportunity to meet or interact with Mickey at one point in time. What are your thoughts on Mickey's passing?
Obviously the city lost a legend, and I think very often we talk about legends, or a few of friends of mine we kind of talk about Revere legends, right? And I don't think there's one person that personifies the words Revere legend more than Mickey. And Mickey was somebody who cared so deeply about the city, cared so deeply about the children of the city, and the guy bled and sweated and loved the city, and he loved everything about Revere, and he epitomized so much of Revere. So it's with a heavy heart that we have this weekend, and that the city really mourns the loss of Mickey, and he truly was a Revere legend, probably the Revere legend, and it's sad, very sad.
And if I could do it justice, it's Mickey Say No to Drugs.
That's
Casoli,
correct. That's correct.
Who something he fought so hard for, and just my recollections on it is that Mickey, as you said, he was a larger than life person. He was probably one of the few people that no matter who's in the room, he could walk in a room and he took command of that room.
Hey, all he had to do was open his mouth, because that gravelly voice, I mean, you could hear that from a mile away. So
yeah, and
Mickey
one of the other
special.
shout out to me from with working with the Historic Society in the past and their telethons, it was amazing how he could come in and just take over, get on the phone, and the money he could raise within 10-15 minutes was incredible.
yeah.
So again, Mickey, cheers, farewell. So getting back to the Sand Sculpting Festival, and of course it's the 16th annual Sand Sculpting Festival, and this year, of course, being the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, our centerpiece is pictures of the rocket and the astronauts landing on the moon. It's quite a centerpiece. But along with that, now we've got the 20, I think it is, master sculptors working on their pieces. Come Friday is the kickoff,
Right.
with music and trucks and fireworks on Saturday, and then of course people can come by on Sunday and still see the exhibits. And then I think one of the new pieces this year is the amateur consultants. I saw their little piles of sand as I was walking down the beach. It's quite an event. I mean, and we've talked about every year how much it's evolved and how big it's gotten.
It's evolved, it's grown. I mean, this now is an event that we're going to draw close to 1 million people. What really opened my eyes when we were planning for this weekend, in talking to the partnership, and the partnership is an incredible organization. They do an incredible job, and to realize that this is now the third largest event that happens in the Commonwealth is really wild, right? And to know what it started from. Adrian knows. Nobody, I don't think, knows more about the beginnings of this event than Adrian, and to see how it's grown year after year after year. And the governor will be here on Friday, and we're really excited about that. This is an event now that just draws, like I said, close to 1 million people. It's a showcase for the city of Revere. We get to show off all that we have. Beautiful beach, some of the great aspects of beach life, and we're gonna have great weather. So I can't, I can't heap enough praise on the partnership and for everyone that comes together to make this event just work perfectly. And this year, and we know that there have been a lot of concerns, especially over the last couple of years as it's grown, around the traffic planning and public safety issues, or planning for public safety issues. And we're happy to say that we've been working with the state officials, state police, DCR, City of Revere. We're going to have more public safety presence. We're going to make sure that there are public safety presence at certain intersections. We're encouraging folks, obviously, to take public transportation if they can. But we really want to make this experience special for everyone that comes down, and we don't want to have situations where there's traffic jams and we inconvenience people for long periods of time. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to keep traffic flowing. We've put the additional resources into it to make sure that it is flowing, and we're looking forward to another great weekend.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember right from the information, both the Boulevard and Ocean Ave will be shut off on those 2 nights?
Correct. And we're going to have, like I said, there'll be public safety and state police and Revere police stationed at certain areas where we know there are choke points, and we're going to be trying to make traffic flow a little bit smoother.
And additional areas for parking have been set up also, have
Correct.
they? But don't come down the Boulevard or
use public
or Ocean
transportation
Ave.
if you can. And,
Yes, and walk. It's going to be a great night.
Right.
Great nights, actually. And something else that you just said about the partnership. Again, big shout out to them, but also to everybody else. The city, you and your staff, DCR, State Police, Revere City Police. I mean, there are so many people that come to play.
Right.
Am I missing anybody?
No,
that come to
I
mind?
think that kind of sums it up. But,
Yep.
Between the coordination and the amount of work that goes into planning and making this event as great of an event as it is, it really does take a village, and we're lucky to have great partners. And there's no better word than partnership for what the Revere Beach Partnership does, and they are incredible partners with the city. So.
Yeah. And speaking of the beach, you mentioned about, the beautiful beach, and we have some great weather, and people should come down and really enjoy it. It seems to me, what I've noticed is this year, there seems to be a lot more activity, or, there's a lot more activity being highlighted on the beach. I know that the Parks and Recreation Department has a number of activities. There's going to be the Rumney Marsh Bocce Tournament in August, coming up in a couple of weeks. There's work on the new bathhouse and the work that's going on down there, and all kinds of other things. Another great thing is the banners on the beach, and I know you've been very involved in that. Talk about the banners on the beach and let people know what they're all about.
I mean, everything from the movie nights on the beach, which are really exciting, to additional programming. We've tried to make sure that we're getting the most use out of the beach as possible. But one piece that was really exciting, and it's a little bit of a nod to the history of the city, is having those banners up on along the beach, and it was kind of the brainchild of a few people. I know Bob Upton was very instrumental. Bob O'Brien, L. Baker from the city were very helpful in pushing forward that the idea and making it happen. But the idea behind the banners is that we have spots along the boulevard that get noticed or get called out, and you actually show some of the history of what that space was, and it really is a kind of a throwback and an acknowledgement of the history of our beach. Obviously, America's first public beach with a storied history, and we want to show that off. And as somebody who grew up here and is raising a family here, it's so important to be able to pass down the knowledge of what was happening on this beach, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. So just to be able to have something to point to and to show and to give people some idea of how vibrant and active this beach has been, not only over the last couple of years, but for decades.
Well, yeah, and it's so true. And of course, working with the Historic Society, it's near and dear to my heart as well. And, particularly the historical aspect of it. And it's amazing how many people today weren't here then and don't have that recollection. And when I do tours at the museum and show young people and even older people who are new to the city, they're just totally amazed at what's there, and to be able to highlight all those things along the beach. And just a shout out to the Historic Society. Keep in mind that in September there will be a trolley tour that's going to start at the museum, do historical locations around the city, do a tour down the beach, and then come back to the museum for some refreshments and other tours. So
and that's another great idea. I mean, to be able to have a trolley tour and to be able to, again, show off the beach and show off some of the history and be able to call out some of the spaces that were here. We've tried to be really intentional about that, even in as you see some of the transformation on the beach happen and transformation throughout the city. We want to make sure that people remember the history of the city, and I've talked to the Historical Society about this and how important it is that that history can't be lost, and it really is an important piece of what we do, and trying to acknowledge it, trying to make sure people understand it, know it, and that we able to show it off a little bit.
Yeah, and it's so important. I agree with you. Understanding and learning. You know, I think the other part to it is when people understand more about the background of the city and its place in history, because there's more than just the beach as well.
Right.
There's a lot of history in the city. You start to take more of a pride in your city. And,
Absolutely.
And respect
There's
for it.
appreciation and pride that comes out of the knowledge of the history.
Yep. And just staying on the beach for a minute, and talking about, there's still some construction going on down the beach. We have about 4 or 5 different projects.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about those projects and where they're at.
Yeah, of course. So first, you mentioned the bathhouse. That's so bathhouse and two projects that are ongoing on Ocean Ave are part of a long-standing master development agreement and process that the city's undertaken with the MBTA and with DCR to redevelop the transit-oriented development of Waterfront Square. And so a lot of what you see happening down there has been planned and has been in the works for a number of years. I think it goes back 15 or 17 years. But we're seeing the kind of the last stages of it. We've been pushing really hard on those sites that there be the amenities that I always talk about, restaurant space, coffee space, retail space, and that those projects are truly mixed use, and that they have a component that is an amenity to the residents. And we're excited. One of the buildings that's in construction right now will include and is going to include a restaurant, 120, 130 seat restaurant with outdoor views of the ocean, obviously, outdoor seating, and something that I think has been kind of much anticipated and needed, and we really fought hard, because anytime you get a project or a plan that's 15 years in the making, when you come in and you say, okay, I want to see this, and this, everyone kind of looks at you and says,
well, wait a minute,
talking
we're a little
about?
too far down the
We've
path.
had these plans, for years, but we really did make sure that that everyone who was at the table, the state folks, private partners, and the city, understood that there had to be those kinds of amenities included. And I think, I haven't checked it, but I would venture to guess that the new restaurant that opens up on Ocean Ave will be the first new construction restaurant on the beach in probably 20 or 30 years. Yep. So to have that kind of facility is really exciting. There's also going to be a pizza and craft beer kind of tap room closer to the T. On the other side, there'll be a Starbucks coffee shop and another restaurant and some function space in the hotel. Again, function space, if we think about the history of this beach and the history of the city, how much function space there was down here. And my parents were married down on the beach, and the beach was a place where folks could have events. That's the vision for this beach. And so to be able to have a hotel come in that's going to have dedicated function space where we could have conferences or we could have special events is really, really transformational,
Yep.
right? And so we're excited about that. The bathhouse and the public bathrooms and the DCR facility will be exciting because that gives DCR the resources and the ability to keep this beach as beautiful as it is, and that's all part of that agreement to redevelop those parcels of
beach.
property. And
Yep.
further down, kind of the southern end of the beach, we have some more mixed use developments that are happening, hotel developments that are happening. So we're excited about that transformation. I know there is some concern that goes along with it, community impacts, and we're trying to make sure that we take care of those, especially around traffic. We know that the City of Revere has been a pass through for as long as I've been alive, and
Yep.
as long as people have been here, people have been traveling through the city. We want to make it a destination, make it so that people can work here, make it so that people can enjoy their time here and spend money here.
Yep.
And spend money on the beach and enjoy restaurants on the beach and enjoy function space on the beach. So really make it a destination.
Just a thought came to mind, maybe in a conversation you have with the T at some point, let's set it up so that the people can get off like at Wonderland or some of the other stops in Revere, get a token from whatever restaurant they go into, and then they can use it to get back on the T free.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all.
Doesn't cost the T any money. But,
Right.
one aspect of the whole development that's going on with the new residential units, and there are a number of new people coming into the city. As a result of that, I know you've had conversations within the last few months or so with some of the people in these units. Some of that conversation was about the need for restaurants and stuff like
Right.
that. Talk a little bit about the interaction you've had with them, some of the feedback and the insight you're getting from them.
Yeah, and it's been interesting because I think a lot of people who have been in the city for a long time look at some of the building that's happening, and they may think that there are people who are going to have impacts on the quality of life or impacts on city services to a higher degree. And what's been really interesting is hearing from some of the residents, some of the newer residents that are in the city, trying to get them engaged and involved in the city, but also hearing why they chose Revere, why they decided to live in Revere, and to hear those kind of different opinions. And some people come from California and they want to live near a beach and they want to live near the T, and Revere is a place for them to be, and I couldn't find a better place than having access to public transportation, access to the airport,
Yep.
a beautiful beach, and just amenities that really are world class. And so people are choosing to live here, and the conversations that we've had with them have been really enlightening in terms of engagement, involvement, and having people want to be here and want to stay here.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be an important part, in terms of going forward, the strategy for integrating them into the community and getting them involved in the community is going to be very important, I think.
And they have a great perspective. Some people, it's interesting. You get to know your neighbors, right?
Yep.
And you find out that folks have certain expertise, or they have certain professional backgrounds that lend themselves to be helpful to the planning and to the future of the
Yep.
city. And anytime we get engineers, lawyers, doctors, and folks who are choosing to live in Revere and get them involved and engaged, it really it allows us to think about the future of the city and to really plan appropriately.
It sounds, again, exciting. I'm so excited to see. I think Revere's Day is finally coming. Going back to some of the work that's going on the beach, but more importantly, looking around the city, there are other activities, Parks and Recreation, and I have to do another shout out to them in terms of the program, the brochure that they put out earlier this year, and the number of activities I think that they've got going. Talk about some of that.
The summer programming and the summer brochure that they put together is really comprehensive. I mean, we try to make sure, and Mike Hinojosa, Miss Sally, Charlie Giuffrida, and John Leone do an incredible job. Adriana Borriello, we have an incredible staff down there, and they make sure that we're doing everything from toddlers up to up to seniors, up to adults. We have adult programming, adult sports programming. We have kayaking on the beach. We have sailing was a new sailing at in East Boston was a new addition to what some of the programming that they've provided, and they really have taken my vision and saying, okay, I want to make sure I want you to have the best recreation department in the Commonwealth, and they've taken that task and really run with it. We're also excited to have a community center that'll be opening up at the Garfield School. There's been a lot of demand and a lot of conversation about the lack of space for some of our youth. So I think really for anyone in the community, a lack of community space, and so we're going to be opening up the Garfield School. Garfield School has the space, has the capacity. We're going to be running additional programming out of there, and the vision behind that is to make it a truly multi-generational, multicultural community space that can be used by everyone, and to have programming for everyone there. And we're really excited about that. That'll be rolling out in probably early September. And with the city council support, we included some of the funding for that in the city budget this year. So we're excited to be able to keep making progress and make sure that there are programming, there are events for every age, and that the recreation department really is the best one in the Commonwealth.
Yeah. Well, I think they're on that road.
They're on the road.
They're on that
absolutely.
road. Probably two other things I wanted to mention, and I don't know if you maybe had a couple of other ones. I know there's the concerts on the lawn going on in the American Legion. I think that's a weekly event.
Right.
On
Every Sunday evening, we have a concert down the lawn. The city's Veterans Association also puts on a barbecue. Ira Novoselsky, Al Terminello are instrumental in putting in a barbecue before the concert. And the concert series is a great summer concert series. We have the Fall Festival, which is coming up in September, which we're very excited about. And we have Columbus Day Parade, which will be happening.
That's right.
So there's a lot happening. A lot will be happening in the next couple of months. They do movies on the beach pretty much every Thursday night. I know this week Rocky will be playing, and we just have a lot going on, a lot of fun stuff happening, and it really is an opportunity for our residents to not only have some fun, families have fun, but to get to know each other.
Yeah, one of the other ones is the farmers market. I think
farmers market, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, moving on to other subjects, and recently you debuted the new look for Revere.org. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So city website got a refresh. It's interesting. We have been planning for a refresh of the city's website for a few years, and we were able to get the ball over the goal line pretty recently. But one thing that I heard, and it was interesting, I went to a conference and they talked about how, when you apply for a job or when you apply for college, colleges may have up to 3 minutes to look at your application, a student's application. And in that 3 minutes, they're looking at, very cursory view. Same can be said for anyone that's looking to invest in a city, right? And so the first thing anyone who's interested in investing in a city or looking into a city, the first thing they're going to do is look at the website. And that kind of stuck with me, to think that, that's your first impression to, people, not only people who are looking to buy a home in the city or looking to, maybe move their family somewhere, but to a business that is maybe looking to open up in the city. And so we said we want to have a really world-class website, an easy-to-use website, one that is pretty straightforward and pretty just user-friendly at the end of the day. And we've accomplished that. It's a really beautifully designed website. We've gotten a lot of compliments on it. I'm very proud of it, and it's something that those are some of the more mundane things that you get to do in city government and city management, but really something that if we can make an interaction with the city a little bit easier, if we can make it a little bit easier to get information, if we could just make it a little bit easier to connect with our residents, that's a big deal to me, and we want to do that, and so the investment in a city website and making that happen, it took a lot of manpower, a lot of hours. Our IT department did an incredible job. Our Office of Innovation and Data Management did an incredible job. The staff there really pushed the ball forward and made that a reality. And I'm very proud of it. And like I said, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it.
Well, and we keep talking about the advancements in terms of the mechanism, the electronics, the improvements moving to the 21st century, and step by step, again, we're on that road.
Yeah.
Another one that I know that's an important piece to you, and something, a program you've got going on right now, and it's probably worth mentioning before we have to wrap up in a little bit, is the awareness relative to trash and recycling. I know it's a huge issue at this point. A lot of people are trying to figure it all out, what's recyclable, what's not.
Yeah.
And the city, of course, is, paying a lot of money.
Right.
Go.
So that's a good one. A little quick context on that. Recycling used to actually be a revenue stream for the city. So we actually would get paid to recycle. That has now, the tables have turned on that, and now it's costing the city money to recycle. And some of that has to do with things that are out of our hands. China has essentially stopped accepting the United States' recycling. So we've had to get a lot better at making sure that what is getting recycled should be getting recycled. And two common misunderstandings around recycling are plastic bags. Plastic bags cannot be recycled, and people sometimes think that they can put plastic bags in their recycling. They cannot. Other thing, and one that I didn't know, which was pizza boxes.
Yep.
Pizza boxes, if they have any grease or any cheese, they cannot go into your recycling. They're trash, right? So it's just, we've taken, and with the help of the Commonwealth actually gave us a grant to do some information sharing and to do some informational pamphlets and kind of other things to make sure that people understand what can go into recycling, what cannot go into recycling. Again, that's something that we have to pay for, right? So the taxpayers pay for the disposal of recycling and the recycling process. And so what we want to make sure is that we're not getting upcharged, because now the hauling companies and the recycling companies have taken advantage of the fact that our recycling is not getting as easily disposed of. And so if there are dirty loads of recycling, we get charged more for it. So we want to make sure that the residents know what should be recycled, what can and cannot be recycled.
How are we getting that word out there?
So we have done a few things. One is we've actually tagged every single recycling bin with a little pamphlet of information about what should go in and what cannot go in, what can go in, what cannot go in. We've also mailed every single resident of the city. We've set up some more information online. We've done reverse 911 calls. We've done a number of things to let people know, and we've also gotten money from the state to have people go through recycling. So you may see some people out on the street. They're well identified, but they're doing kind of a quick check of what's in the recycling bins, and if people have things that shouldn't be in them, you're going to get an oops tag on your bin, and they'll be notified that they don't have, what's included in their recycling bin should not be in there. Okay. So there are a number of different ways to try to get the word out on social media. Try to spread as many ways. We've had information in the Revere Journal about it. I've been knocking door to door talking to people about it. So we have tried our best to get the word out. We just want people to know that there are issues that are beyond my control around recycling and around trash.
Obviously, you're right.
That they need to know, and we need to do a better job of recycling.
All right, wonderful. Well, as usual, I have other subjects, but we've reached the point in time where we're going to have to say until the next time. It always flies by, Ed.
I know
it goes by like amazing. We could do this for 2 hours. Yeah. Maybe we'll get the bottle of wine. I can get Bob to let me bring in some ferns. Maybe we can have it a little bit more relaxing with a coffee table. But listen, we'll do this again, I'm sure, soon, within a few months.
Thanks again.
As always, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you. Okay, folks, for this conversation in the mayor, conversations with the mayor, it's a wrap. And until we see you again the next time, take care.